Hey guys, I'm super excited to share with you a monthly collaboration between myself and the super talented DeeDee Catron. We're going to be doing projects and process videos based upon mood boards, and we'll be switching off every month who creates the mood board. And I chose the images for this month's mood board. So here it is with the images that I chose. I didn't use all the images for inspiration for my project, but I did use some of them. So I'm starting out adhering some die cut stars all over the background of my paper. I don't have any gesso on my paper. It's just regular cardstock. I think it's 110-pound Nina White Solar cardstock. And I figured that I could get away without gessoing it because I was applying the Collage Posh all over to adhere my stars, and I figured that would make it sturdy. So after my Collage Posh was dry, now I have some light modeling paste by Liquitex and this book text stencil, and I'm just applying that all over my background. My paper is 7.5 inches long by 3.5 inches tall, because my original thought was that I was going to make 3 ATCs, but I was going to start out by making it all together on one card, and then I was going to cut them apart. In the end, it took me so long to make one of them that I only ended up making one ATC, but I have the backgrounds for the other two that I can finish at a later date. So now I'm applying some sheet music with the Collage Page mat, and I chose sheet music for my background because one of the photos, actually two of the photos, have a kind of like tannish look to them, and I wanted to bring that element into my project. And I really like the music notes that you can see from the sheet music, so I decided to use that as one of the elements I pulled from the mood board. And it's kind of hard to apply it because I have the texture paste in the background, so it's kind of bumpy, but I put enough glue that it should be okay and it shouldn't lift. So now I have this old planner that I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't really use it, so it's just a whole bunch of blank pages. So I'm using, I ripped a couple pages out, and I'm using like the little, like, I don't know what you would call it, the part that attached to the spirals of the book, and then I ripped it apart. And I know they have like dies that can make, or punches that can make paper look like that, and I really like the look of it, but I don't have a die or a punch, and I wanted to not waste the planner, so that's what it is. So I'm just showing you a picture of the mood board that I have there. It's a reference for my inspiration, but you can see it in the beginning of the video because you can't see it that well on my phone. I'm stamping a few of the mushrooms from Viva Las Vegas stamps, and I'm showing you the paints that I'm using. I'm using the Handmade Modern, which is a Target brand. It's Robin's Egg, and also the Dina Wakley Media in Blushing. Now these are the two images that I used for my color inspiration, for the paint color inspiration. I also showed you another paint, another Handmade Modern paint, a coral color, but I don't end up using that. So I just put some paint out on my palette, applied a lot of water to it, and used a tiny brush to kind of go along the edges of the sheet music. And then I'm also squirting it with more water so it runs, and I'm tapping my paper against my table and turning it around and making the paint move. And I'm trying to concentrate the color along the edges of my paper, of the sheet music, and also along the edges of the die cut stars, and then kind of like moving out from that with the water. So I'm just repeating the same process with the Dina Wakley paint, the blushing color, applying the water to the paint on my palette and then using my brush to get it real close to the edge of the music, and then using my water bottle to get it to move around on my paper and catch in all that texture that's on the background. I really like the Dina Wakley paints when you add water to them. A lot of acrylic paints, when you add water to them, they react kind of strangely. The pigments, I guess, don't react well with water and they kind of separate and get a little chunky, but the Dina Wakley paints are really nice when you add water, and it's fun to use them in a different way like that. Now I have some Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine, and I am using a fan brush to apply that all over my background. So this is one of the pictures that I took some inspiration from the mood board. I took some twigs from my yard, and if you can see in the middle, I attempted to wrap some thread around them in the same colors that's wrapped around the wood in the picture. But I didn't really like the way it looked, and it was really daunting, and I had a really hard time doing it, making the glue stay. And so I decided to just take some twine. Actually, I think this is hemp, and using my glue gun, bunching up the twigs and using my glue gun to stick the hemp down and wrap it around, all around the twigs. And then while I have my glue gun out, I thought I'd just apply this random honeycomb die cut that I had on my table. It's actually die cut out of like a canvas, and then there's like a layer of gesso on it. So I just thought I'd stick that down since it was on my desk. I also have a piece of medical gauze. It's just from my first aid kit. And before I apply that, I'm taking some Vintage Mint Silks acrylic glaze and going around the honeycomb to get a little more color on there. And the silks also have a little bit of a shimmer to them. It's not like glitter, but it's a little bit of a shimmer. So now I can apply my gauze, and I'm just kind of like pulling some of the threads through to make it look a little distressed and not so perfect on the edges. And this is some really thin brown black jewelry wire. I'm not sure of the gauge of it because I don't have the packaging anymore, but it's really, really thin. And I can cut it with my regular scissors, so it's really thin. So I just use my glue gun to adhere that down to the background. And also going to apply my sticks down while I have the glue gun out. So now I'm just trying to figure out where I want the different elements of my composition to go. I have fussy cut out those mushrooms, and I also had this leaf die cut on my table that was colored with the Vintage Mint Silks acrylic glaze. And so I stuck that in there, and I'm also going to apply some of the golden gold mica flake all over the background, of course. And I kind of, at this point, I kind of had a hard time trying to figure out where I wanted the elements of my card to go after I had glued down the circle, the jewelry wire circle, and the twigs. I wasn't sure where to put the mushrooms because the twigs are so dimensional, so they stick up really high, and I didn't want to have that as the only thing that was up that high because it looked funny. So I had a hard time figuring out what to do. In the end, I ended up just gluing that one mushroom right onto the twigs, and it sticks up really high from the background as well, but at least the twigs weren't the only thing that were up that high. And then I put the other mushroom behind it. And I'm going all around the edges of my card with some black ink, and I'm looking for a word sticker to put on my card. And I went with Just Breathe, and it's from the Fortune Teller collection from 7 Dot Studio. And I thought the background looked a little stark with the twigs being the only dark element on, well, the twigs and the mushrooms, but I wanted to bring some of that darkness to the background, so I'm going all around the edges with an ink blending tool and some Distress ink in walnut stain and trying to bring some of that brown in. I'm just applying it to the edges and then using the blending tool to kind of bring it in slightly from the edges. And I also am matting it on some black cardstock because I wanted there still wasn't enough contrast for my liking even after I added the distress ink. So I decided to go with some black cardstock, and I distressed the edges with a distress tool and also splattered my paper with the Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine. I know you can't see it, but I wanted some of it to be peeking out from behind my card. Now I am adding some Wow Studio chipboard confetti stars to a few places on my card. And I really love the finish of the Wow Studio chipboard. It's this really nice darker brown. A lot of the wood veneers is a light brown, and I enjoy the darkness. So there you can see how high my card is, and that completes my project for today. Here are some still shots of the project. Be sure to check out the description box below for all of the information about the video collaboration between myself and DeeDee Catron. And also there will be a link to DeeDee's video. Be sure to check that out. Here's a sneak peek of her project, which is amazing, amazing, amazing. It is so cool. And please be sure to hop on over to her video and watch how she made this. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.